ask you all to rise. I'm going to ask Ben Stiganoff, a member of Troop 24 here in Attleboro, to come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ben is going for a citizenship in the community badge, which is a requirement for the Eagle Scouts. So Ben, if you would, please lead us in the pledge.
Well, do I just say it?
You can just say it, yes.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Ben. If everyone could just stay standing for a minute, I'm just going to ask that we take a moment of silence. On November 23rd, the community lost a former member and former chairwoman of the Attleboro School Committee, Winifred Nelson. She was the chairwoman of the committee in the 1960s. She passed away at the age of 95. So just join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Ben, thank you again for leading us in the pledge. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Attleboro School Committee, Monday, November 28th, 2016. This is a reminder and notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. I'm just going to take the agenda slightly out of order. Tonight we're going to move up the first item of our business agenda, spotlight event for Hill Roberts Elementary School. To the first, we have a lot of students, elementary school students with us, so this way they can get home at a reasonable hour. So at this time, we'll call up Principal Rich and his team, please.
No, that'll be a good move for both of us. Makes a good team.
First of all, thank you for moving your schedule around for us. We really appreciate it. Appreciate your consideration. I'd like to just start really with going back and thanking one more time Superintendent Sawyer and Assistant Superintendent Regan and the rest of the hiring committee who selected me last spring to lead Hill Roberts as we move forward and certainly throughout the Envisioning 2020 plan and into the future. I can't say enough how honored I feel and how much I've enjoyed getting to know the staff and the students and the families at Hill Roberts. And although it's only been a few months, it's been about 3 months, since September that we've really gotten to know and work with them. I'm really excited and proud to showcase some of the accomplishments that we've made thus far, and we have a lot of really good things planned in the future as well. But I have a nice contingency of staff and students, and they're really the ones who deserve to do all the talking and boasting about some of the things that we've done, because they're the ones who really make it all work. And so I'm going to start actually with introducing Mrs. Carrie Hutchins and Mrs. Mary Dugan, my math and reading coaches, who are going to, let me see if I get this right. Good. And Carrie is also one of our head teachers as well.
We're going to the next slide.
Oh, sorry.
No, I thought we were going to the next slide.
There we go.
So one of the things we've been doing over the past 2 years at Hill Roberts is working on an intervention and enrichment block for all the students. The information and the formation of the groups is a collaborative effort involving teachers, coaches, and paraprofessionals to provide targeted support for all of our students. In some of these pictures, you'll see some of the math enrichment groups. The math enrichment groups are broken down into centers with about 4 to 6 kids in each center. And during those center times, the students are working on coding with either the iPads or Dash and Dot, which are robots that they learn to code to do different activities. They are working on STEM activities, building catapults to see how far pom-poms can go, and then measuring how far they can go, and graphing it and recording it, learning different graphing activities, and working on logic problems. And some of the other things that are up there is the Capron Park came to do with our first grade students. The animals that it worked in with their habitat, that projects that they were working on.
All right, and one other project that's up there as well in the bottom left, I thought that was really great. This is Mrs. Hughes, one of our kindergarten teachers, and she was doing this great science experiment, again, STEM related, with the apple, what causes apples to oxidize, and she was using the children had to come up with a hypothesis on what would happen and when the apple was submerged into different liquids, into lemon juice, regular water, vinegar, and some of the other things. And this is just one of the other great activities that our teachers are planning that are really engaging our students, even at this age, really even going through the scientific method as young as kindergarten and going through the whole process of coming up with a hypothesis and the big questions and planning an experiment on all those pieces. Obviously, it's scaffolded and developmentally appropriate, where the teacher's doing most of the work, but at least is guiding the students through the process as well. So it was a really nice project. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Dugan.
We are at Hill Roberts are most fortunate to be able to participate in 3 academies offered by the Massachusetts Tiered System of Support, or MTSS, and one of them is UDL, which is Universal Design for Learning. And with UDL, it's not a program; it's more of a support system that helps teachers examine their curriculum and their lessons to see what barriers students might encounter in their learning and how do we overcome them. So a lot of times if a child has a difficulty, we will react to that and find a support for it and help guide them through the lesson with these different supports. This particular program allows us to examine what we have and use the tools that we have to get rid of those barriers for the students to be able to learn more and be more successful in their learning, and maybe increase their confidence a little bit. It offers choice. It offers a teacher's choice as well as a student. So it's been quite successful so far with our little team. There are myself, Susan Levine also participates in it, Rachel DeGrace, Jody Kamel, and Denise Levesque. And right now we were piloting it we started last year working with it. It's a 3-year program. And this year we're starting a small rollout with additional staff to help them go through the maze of UDL, so to speak. The next one that we participate in is the Literacy Academy, or the Hill. I love this program. Another team with myself, Stephanie Dalpian, again, Rachel DeGrace. We look at assessments, we look at our reading curriculum. They help us to look at our reading curriculum more closely, our standards, foundational skills, and how to take what we have and support our students, and we push for more successful results in using what we have. We've been taught, we're learning how to use our data more efficiently in our data meetings. And this year we've also rolled out district-wide in the elementary system, ECRI, which is the Enhanced Core Reading Instruction Program, and that's geared for K-1-2. And it's a multi-tiered system that helps children increase their reading achievement. We've all had wonderful professional development with it. We had it in August and in September as well. We have been fortunate with both of these programs that not only do we attend off-site workshops, but they come to us as well. As a matter of fact, we had a person from CAST for UDL working with our group this morning, very early, and tomorrow a group of us are going to be working again at the Hill for literacy.
So, did I go too far? I did. All right. So one of the major tenets, certainly, of the this district's vision plan for the future is engaging the community. And these are just a short list of some of the things that we've done. But one of the things I really wanted to highlight and I'm really excited about, and I'm actually going to turn over to Mrs. Hutchins. She is one of our 2 student council advisors. Sarah Desatel is the other. And one of the projects that they put together, I'm going to turn over to you and let you speak a little bit to that. Introduce our first student guest.
Yep, so I'm going to have Aubrey Salinas, our student council president, and Jeffrey Larson, our student council vice president, come up.
This student council is in the middle of 2 projects right now. We are collecting food donations of the City of Attleboro food drive, and students can buy feathers for our frozen turkey project. The students have collected over 450 items for the food drive so far. This is the last week to bring the donations. Mr. Feinstein will match the donations made by the school. Our frozen turkey project is to raise money for the Student Council Community Service Project. Students can buy feathers for 25 cents, write what they're thankful for, and decorate the feathers. Once the feathers are turned in, they are added to the class turkeys. Currently, we have over 1,000 feathers on our turkeys. At the end of the school year, the Student Council will be hosting a breakfast for our community helpers.
And so this is one of our class turkeys so far.
And there are more feathers that haven't even made it up there yet.
Yes. Thank you.
So it's really, if you happen to be in the area and you want to swing by the office when you come in, our glass facing the office is covered in every class, and the staff has a turkey that they are covering. And I actually feel for Mrs. Hutchin and Mrs. Desatel, who have like a stack of feathers that they need to still add to these poor frozen turkeys.
It was a much bigger project than what we thought it was going to be.
But it's been very, very impressive. Certainly the response to it, and so just some of the other quick things to highlight. One of the things we really want to look at is one of the things I've tasked the staff with is looking at doing a grade level community outreach project. And right now they're kind of in the planning phases of looking at what that might look like for their grade. And we've done a lot of other things, bringing into the community or going out to the community in the form of the Harvest Fair, which we had a few weeks ago. I'm not sure if anybody here was able to attend the Veterans Day ceremony would have seen some of our, or many actually, a surprising number of our 3rd and 4th grade students singing, and our own Mrs. Kathy Giannetti singing the national anthem, and it was really, they did a phenomenal job. It was very, very windy that day, and I was very impressed with how well they did, even with the not ideal weather conditions. And we have, and there'll be a photo later of the Little Red Schoolhouse. The Audubon Society has come, the zoo has come in. And one of the things you would have seen on that first slide, which we're also very excited about, is we are now a permanent member of the Alan Sean Feinstein Foundation. We're a permanent Feinstein Leadership School. So we were able to solidify that with the installation of our sign about a month ago, roughly. Mm-hmm. So that's a truly amazing man and generous man who has been willing to support our school and some of the many things that we would like to do. Really very generous. Oh, here we go. Here are the pictures. Oh, shoot, I should have gotten this earlier. But that's Mrs. Fuller at the Little Red Schoolhouse. I think, if you haven't been, again, we have that little red. It looks like a shed. I thought it was a shed when I was hired. I just assumed it was a storage shed for the lawn equipment. But I was proven wrong when Mr. Hanley opened it up and showed me what was inside, and I was shocked at just an amazing job that they've done. And again, another community organization that has put a lot of time and energy is Home Depot. They've really done a lot for us getting that put back together. But you can see we did our Race for Education in the top left with Hunter the Husky was there, and the top right is our 3rd and 4th grade contingency singing at the Veterans Day ceremony. You can see a little bit of that turkey. That was the first day when it was first installed on the windows, but now when you go, it's covered and they all look more like this one we have here. And a few of our students, was it our 3rd grade who did the collage?
Yes,
Veterans
yeah,
Day?
3rd grade.
Mrs. Dalpy's class made that really amazing collage for Veterans Day as well. They presented it that day to, I believe it's Ken at Veterans Services, and a really, really wonderful project. And in the bottom right is just our students wearing their Feinstein Foundation shirts, that they're all Feinstein scholars. All right, so I'm gonna pass it over now to Mrs. Julie Katsalis, who is one of our 2 PBIS coaches, and then Kim Sherman, who is also on our PBIS implementation team. And then they're gonna introduce that, and as well as some more of our guests of honor.
Right. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Amanda Weeman is my fellow coach. She could not be here. She is also a mother of twins, and this is a bewitching hour in her household to get them down. So Kim was gracious enough to come. She's part of our team, along with, and the names I believe were in the top, Brooke Lindsay, who is a first grade teacher, Megan Young, who is a fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Hutchins is on that team with us, our speech pathologist, Jean Terry. Who am I leaving out? Leaving out somebody. Kim?
Mrs. Young?
I said Mrs. Young. Maybe I got them all, but they're up there. And we are a new team coming together, but PBIS has been something that Attleboro, Hill Roberts has had for quite a while. Hill Roberts is in cohort 3 of our district's Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports, or PBIS, implementation. However, we are in the fortunate position of building off a long-standing CREST initiative that is part of our school culture. As part of CREST, students are acknowledged for demonstrating behaviors in line with our core values of care, respect, excellence, safety, and trust. For this school year, our goals are to align CREST with PBIS principles in which there is direct behavioral teaching, practice, feedback, and recognition of what these values look like in practice in different areas of our school. A multidisciplinary team of educators, paraprofessionals, counselors, and coaches have worked to develop lesson plans and work strategically to develop common and consistent language and approaches to supporting positive behavior school-wide. And we've asked 5 students from our school to tell you how they got their CREST tickets. One, and in many cases they have gotten more than one. So I would like to introduce Kaylin White, a 3rd grader from Mrs. Munson's class.
I received my CREST ticket from Miss Durfin for being a caring helper in a kindergarten class. I am always watching for the kindergartners at dismissal time to make sure they are in correct bus signs.
Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Ashley Anastasia, who is a 4th grader from Mrs. DeGrace's class.
I received my CREST ticket from Mrs. Giannetti, our music teacher. I was waiting respectful, sitting quietly waiting for our next lesson after a drumming activity.
Thank you, Ashley. Kelly Larson, who is a kindergartner in Mrs. Hughes's class.
I got a CREST ticket because I was doing excellent and quality work. My teacher, Mrs. Hughes, gave it to me.
Andy Grabluski, who is from Mrs. Dalpy's 3rd grade class.
I was given my CREST ticket from my teacher, Mrs. Delpy. I discovered some soap on the bathroom floor and cleaned it up. I knew that the bathroom was not safe and someone could get hurt.
And last but certainly not least, Jesherin Daniel, who is a 4th grader in Mrs. Young's class.
Hello. Mr. Grace gave me my CREST ticket. She saw that I could be trusted to do the right thing, ignore the wrong behavior, and focus on the task I needed to accomplish. Thank you.
On that great note, our students received their CREST tickets from all the staff in the building. They put them in the grade level boxes that are in the office, and each week, 2 students from each grade are chosen to be our weekly winners. And we also have monthly CREST assemblies. During that time, we recognize 2 students from each grade level, and thanks to our generous PTO, we receive certificates, the children receive certificates, prizes, and books in each week. When Mr. Rich comes over the intercom on a Friday afternoon, there's a hush that falls over the whole building. The children are all waiting to hear the names to be announced. So it's a great success. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. So you can, and this is just a photo here of one of our CREST assemblies. You can see 1 or 2 of the students still have their certificate and books in their hands. It's really a wonderful way to recognize the positive aspects and attributes that our students are showing, and we are very, very fortunate to sort of not be starting out this PBIS at the ground floor. Mrs. Katsalas is really a huge asset to the school in that she was a big piece of the CREST as it was built a few years ago, and really ties in very nicely with the PBI tenets of PBIS as well. So moving forward, we're in a very good place as far as implementing the rest of the PBIS pieces into this school. So we're very, very lucky. All right, fine. So in closing, a lot of the things that you've heard about here this evening, just the few things that we were able to really highlight, as well as all the things that we have planned going on for the rest of the year, really are all developed with these three main goals in mind. Certainly placing students at the center of all education decisions through guided planning to achieve personalized goals, improving the quality of education for students by providing learning experiences that are personalized, challenging, and have lifelong value, and finally cultivating and extending community partnerships to improve outcomes for students through outreach, collaboration, and reciprocal support. As I said, many of the things we've already talked about, all of those are done with these in mind. There are many other things that I really would like to highlight, but it would take too long. But some of certainly the strong work of our ILT has really done a phenomenal job of pushing some progressive ideas, doing learning walks, and some of the things that we're looking at in order to improve our instruction and the opportunities for our students. Mrs. Dugan found a Project Appleseed, which is the goal which we would like to look at a little more to increase family engagement or community engagement. In fact, it has a whole hashtag. It's a challenge for the school. It's a hashtag 150 days or something like that. And it's 150 days of community engagement, and it basically gives a year's worth of ideas on how to get the community into the school or to get us out into the community as well. So that's something we're going to be taking a closer look at as the year progresses. And using the school even, Mrs. You saw the picture of Mrs. Hughes's class using the grounds, they were out in the woods right around the school, being able to use our own resources and taking a closer look at the resources we have even on campus. Some of the opportunities we have just for the nature trails that are out there, outdoor classrooms, those kinds of things. And then the Little Red Schoolhouse, which is on the property as well, is a great asset. But we've also worked hard to bring in outside agencies into the school. The Historical Commission had their first meeting of the year in the school. We've had the ADK, I can't remember what that stands for, Alpha Delta Kappa, is that what it is?
You're talking to the wrong person.
But the sorority was, teaching sorority was able to use the building for their monthly meetings. Rec basketball, we're looking to promote more opportunities as well to get people into the building and really have it become a hub of the Attleboro, but in our school, in our instance, the South Attleboro community. So we have a lot of exciting things going on. I really thank you for the opportunity to come and highlight some of these things, and I'm really looking forward to being able to work more with this great staff and these students as we move on throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone have any questions or comments? Ms. Larson?
Just, listening to the passion in the presentation between both the staff and the students, sounds really special. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Quinn?
What's really been interesting for me for all of these different presentations is how each school makes the district-wide initiatives their own and puts their own spin on it, but still staying true to the core values, which I think is really impressive. I would wholeheartedly encourage you to share out the 150 days. I'm fascinated by those opportunities and potential solutions, because I think that's something that we as a committee really need to work hard in terms of doing more outreach to bring people in. I appreciate the efforts that have been made to make the school more accessible, not just for the families of the students, but how do we serve the broader community? And I also think that really dovetails into the enrichment programs that you're initiating, because when you have community participation, those enrichment ideas become greater in number, because now you have community partners to bring in the ideas, capitalizing on your strengths as teachers. They bring in some outside expertise, and hopefully if we can start to achieve our strategic plan, that these enrichment opportunities become the way teaching and learning is done every single day, which is hard. I mean, it's an incredible challenge, but I look forward to seeing how these evolve over time, and congratulate you on your efforts to date. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the students, first of all, for coming. I think we all enjoyed hearing from you. I think it was a good opportunity for you as well. So thank you. Thank you to Principal Rich and the staff. As Mr. Quinn said, I'm enjoying these presentations from each of our schools very much. I think it shows the creativity of our staff and the quality learning experiences that are going on in our buildings and how they tie into the strategic plan. So I think it's important for us in the community to see. So thank you very much for a job well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let us know how you make out with the turkeys.
Thank you.
If you're in the area, swing by and take a look. They'll still be hanging them up.
All right, so we'll move back up to the top of our agenda and start with the Student Advisory Council update. Harry Lancaster.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all again. Missed last couple weeks actually, so it's good to be back. So there's not much going on in terms of throughout the whole school system. I'm going to give you a rundown around Attleboro Public Schools. Today was the first day of winter sports at the high school. This is also finals week, so we have half days on Thursdays and Friday, as you all know. In the coming weeks, Thursday, December 8th, there's an ACE-PAC meeting, and the week after that will be parent-teacher conferences at middle schools. So that's about it for what's going on in the Attleboro community in the coming weeks. So we'll give you an update in the next meeting.
So December 8th is the ACE-PAC meeting?
Yep, Thursday.
Thank you, Mr. Lancaster.
Mr.
questions?
Williams,
Oh, yeah,
just
Quinn.
a follow-up. Can the administration talk a little bit about parent-teacher signups or just the process, or how to, if a parent's interested, do they just show up? Do you know how the schedule's working for parent-teacher conferences for the middle school?
I believe it varies from school to school slightly. They have different procedures, but that was covered at the open houses.
Awesome.
So
I think that Thursday is like afternoon meetings, and then Friday is going to be like evening meetings,
Okay.
if that helps.
So if parents are watching or interested, that they should reach out to their schools just to get more information.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Moving on in our agenda, approval of minutes from the November 14th, 2016 meeting. The minutes were circulated, or were included in the documents circulated in advance of this meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from November 14th, 2016.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda. Motion to accept a donation of 4 laptops with an estimated value of $150 per device for Kim Pulavacek. Polovacic, thank you. Polovacic's classroom at Hyman Fine Elementary School from the mother of Logan Robocho.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $7,425 to Hyman Fine from the Hyman Fine PTO to be deposited in the gifts donation line to purchase 33 Chromebooks.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $500 to Hill Roberts from Joan Apgar to be deposited in the Apgar line of the gifts donation fund for the Hill Roberts Library.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the field trip proposal for 30 grades 9 through 12 students to go to the Grand Canyon during April vacation.
So moved.
Second.
Some discussion on this. Could someone from the administration just explain this proposal? When it is and what's intended?
Sure. This is another effort to increase our experiential learning opportunities at the high school and throughout the district. And it is also a way for us to continue our partnership with EF Tours. We have several other trips that are happening throughout the district, and this is another way for us to work with them. Students will be actually going to the Grand Canyon. They'll be actually looking at the landscapes, the erosion, ecology. They'll be visiting Bryce Canyon, Zion Canyon, and the Grand Canyon. While they're there, they'll be participating in different activities, one of them namely being floating down the Colorado River on a raft. So I think it'll be a great experience for the students and a memorable one in that.
Great.
Good question. This spring? 2017?
It's 2018.
2018.
Mrs. Torres.
Is this for a specific class, or is this open to the entire student body?
It's open, it's grades 9 through 12.
So anybody who's interested might be able to attend this?
Correct.
That's wonderful.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to declare the following non-serviceable copiers as surplus. LD 906EX, LD 906EX, Canon IR 5000, Canon IR 3300, Canon IR 6000, Canon IR 5070, Canon IR 5000, Canon IR 3300.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and that concludes the consent agenda. Moving on to our business agenda for tonight. We'll start with, we'll continue with item number 2, Superintendent Sawyer, recommendation to appoint.
Yes, so in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 71, Section 53, school physician is one of the positions that the school committee approves. Dr. Entwistle has been the school physician for as long as I've been aware that we had one, and I am recommending that we extend his contract.
A motion to approve the superintendent's appointment.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Facilities update, Mr. Furtado?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The superintendent asked me to inform the committee on our process and progress with the capital projects that were addressed by the municipal council on the 15th. The mayor is not allowed to sign off on that until 3 days later, which he did at the end of that week. However, we were informed that was likely to pass, and as such, we had contacted vendors to start doing some of the site work and develop some firmer estimates for the work to be done. We've had 2 vendors in for the facade at Studley. We have a 3rd one expected this week. Between those 3, we'll select somebody to do that work. We have the vendors actually lined up and ready to go for the roof repairs, the temporary roof repairs at Brennan and Wamsutta. We're just waiting for a 3-day period of time where the weather looks like it's going to cooperate. We haven't seen that yet. The boiler installers have been on site for the past 2 weeks at various days, looking at all 5 buildings and doing kind of assessments of the rooms and the space and the needs. They're working with us to develop the RFP for the materials, the boilers themselves, some of the plumbing fixtures. So that project will commence very shortly. And the air conditioning units at Willett, Willett and Hill Robbins, excuse me. Those are going to go out as one package. They will go out in late winter, early spring. That's about a 1 week to 10-day project, so it's not going to run into hot weather or anything like that. It typically does not disrupt the building at all. It's all down the roof. So we're going to wait until the winter gets out of the way to do that work. Happy to entertain any questions.
Are any of these other items that you mentioned before that, are they going to interrupt the school day in a significant way?
Typically not. The boiler work will be done during heating season, and depending on timing and that sort of thing, there may be a need for temporary boilers, so they are actually on the back of trucks. They just park the truck there, hook them up. So the school days themselves will not be disrupted.
Mr. Geddes?
And there's no way to do this work on the weekend without causing astronomical increase to cost, correct?
Right. Yeah, and it's typically not, despite what, you're throwing around cast iron all over the place, but it's not that noisy and
Right.
messy of a project. They do amazing work. They really do.
Mrs. Storrs?
What's the timeline for the roofs?
Roofs, as soon as we get 3 days, we're gonna just pull the trigger and go. We want to get it done as soon as we possibly can. 'Cause the weather has already deteriorated, and we want to get it in there as fast as we can.
Is it only the trouble spots?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the prices were, much better than we thought. We're taking a first crack at about $10,000 per building. The authorization was for $40,000 per building. We're going to see if the $10,000 Band-Aid works. If not, we'll hit it again. But we're not going to try to spend money we don't need to spend.
Mr. Quinn?
Two-part question, Mr. Furtado, along similar lines. First of all, how are the bids coming in relative to the amounts allocated? Is it looking like we're going to be able to come in under the allocations, number one? Number two, how are we going about evaluating the quality of the vendors coming in terms of sustainability of the solutions? I think one of the things, the boilers have long lasted what they were expected to, so there's quality installation, quality product, but the roofs, on the other hand, have been, a disappointment for the district.
Yeah, we've had, again, multiple groups. I will take it one at a time.
Okay.
Multiple groups up on the roofs at Brennan and Wamsutta. We've got a laundry list of things that could be done. What we're looking for is to stop the penetration of water into the building, which is certainly not the same thing as how do you fix this roof permanently.
Mm-hmm.
So our critical issue is to stop the water penetration, to allow the buildings to survive without further degradation for the next 2 years, to get involved in the MSBA process and see if we get out to the other side.
Okay.
So we feel very confident about what we've identified. The question is that going to stop all of the water? And if it doesn't, like I said, we have a lot of budget to address anything that would be outstanding. It's a very, very difficult process because there's multiple points of access to address it. You've got to hit all of that and hope that has comprehensively addressed the problem. So it's very piecemeal, and we're going to do it a step at a time rather than just spend money we don't necessarily need to spend. The roofing company that is ready to go is somebody we've worked with multiple times in the past and I've never had a problem with. The boilers, we're using the state contracted vendor for installation. It's Industrial Burner Systems. They're a fantastic company. They did the work at Studley and brought everybody here, and that system has worked magnificently, better than advertised. What they're doing is they're assessing things like square footage of the building and how the heat gets distributed, where the walls are, so that they can pretty accurately identify the total BTUs needed for that building and how to provide those BTUs and how many units. They've got some very interesting ways that they set up systems sometimes. They can have a system that does smaller units, but will sequence in as the need rises. Or they could just try to hit the thing right in the middle and bring in a bigger unit. But obviously, if you do the small units, you're much more efficient building most of the time. When the heat, when the cold peaks, you're kicking on everything. But for the other 300 days of the year, you're doing really well. Air conditioning, we had involved the original vendor, which was Train, in the replacement of a unit at Hyman Fine. So they'll be part of the vendor base that we send a bid package to. These will be big companies, you know, Carrier, Train, these are not smaller groups.
And do you anticipate any savings from the more highly efficient boilers?
Oh, yeah. We realized about 15% at Studley in the first 2 years of operation. Yeah.
And
In
what
terms
is
of
that-
energy costs.
And what does that translate to approximately?
It was about $5,000 a year at Studley.
Do you have an idea on what that number would be district-wide if we, with efficient?
For the two buildings in Willett, it might be 15,000. I don't know what the impact is going to be at Brennan, which is just a hot water heater, but the hot water heater is almost the same size as the boilers going in the other buildings, and the boiler that we have been heating hot water with, you know, is so much bigger and so significantly inefficient. I don't know what we're going to save by repairing that, but it might not be a small number either.
Any other questions for Mr. Furtado? Thank you. And you'll keep us posted as the work gets done and we start to see the benefits?
We will.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, moving on. Mrs. Scales, update on policy and personnel.
Sure, we're just removing from the table the following policies. Policy CB, School Superintendent. Policy CCB, Line of Authority in Staff Relations. Policy CE, Administration, Leadership Teams, Council, and Committees. Policy CHCA, Approval of Handbooks and Directives. Exhibit CHCAE1, Approval of Handbooks and Directives. Policy CHD, Administration and Policy Absence. CL, Administrative Reports, and JKAA, Physical Restraint Policy and Procedures. And our next meeting is on the December 19th.
Thank you, Mrs. Scales. Next, we have open forum. Is there anyone here who would like to address the school committee at open forum? All right, that will conclude open forum. And that is all that we have on the agenda for tonight. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks. That's right. We're banking the time for the spring.
He tried. Aren't they a good group?
Second Wednesday of the week.